Überdenken, Atlantis, The Lost Empire. It's an awesome movie for those that haven't seen it. I'd recommend you watch it and then please come back and watch this video. Or just know that it's a masterpiece and it's something you're missing out on. The story focuses on Milo James Thatch, an employee of a museum that works in the boiler room. Milo is an outgoing extrovert who is forced into an introvert's lifestyle. The movie begins by revealing that Milo has discovered that a book with the path to Atlantis, which apparently hasn't been found due to a mistranslation, is still waiting for someone to find it. He tries to convince the museum he works at to fund an expedition to find the book. However, the museum avoids even listening to his claims. Because of that, Milo quits and later finds out that the book has been found by his deceased grandfather some time ago. Milo then has the opportunity to go find Atlantis using this book. This is also when Milo is shown being able to stretch into his outgoing, extroverted self. The movie takes you through that expertly planned yet hilarious journey. Unfortunately, some people watched the movie with a negative view to begin with and just spammed hate reviews at the movie complaining about things like the violent scenes, people being offended that Molière was French, and the fact that some of the characters smoked. Due to this, Atlantis has its 6.8 on IMDb. Atlantis is possibly one of the most underrated films due to that, and therefore also failed financially. This movie costed Disney $120 million and only has a worldwide gross of $186.1 million, only $84 million being domestic or from America. Due to that, Atlantis 2 Shards of Chaos was cancelled. The space was soon filled with what would have become a 3-part short series called Team Atlantis. It was officially released direct-to-video as Atlantis: Milo's Return, and has a 5.1 rating on IMDb for good reason. Most voices were swapped for actors who likely accepted a lower cut. The animation was rushed, and the characters are completely different from their original counterparts. It was really just bad all around. On the other hand, the original was great. From
I got you 4 basic food groups: beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard.
To
You didn't just drink that, did you? That's not good. That's nitroglycerin. Don't move, don't breathe, don't do anything except pray, maybe.
Not to mention the foreshadowing here,
Yes, this should be enriching for all of us.
and later,
I'm gonna kill him.
the visuals, the soundtrack, and the story itself. Disney not bothering with the sequel from such a great movie was a huge mistake and possibly their biggest loss of potential. Of course, even if they had made a proper sequel, Cookie still would have had a different voice, as the voice actor Jim Varney died over a year before the original was even released. That being said, there is still huge potential. Now obviously I'm not asking for the old 2D animations that died almost 20 years ago, but with Disney remaking movies like The Lion King, and already having had remade movies like Beauty and the Beast or The Jungle Book, as everyone that I have asked has said, we want a live-action CGI Atlantis. If you imagine the CGI visual aspects of this being worked into this, as you can see, it would be amazing. But coming from such an epicenter, there are many aspects that would have to be expertly, respectively placed in this new movie. 1. Atlantis is not a horror movie. So Disney, please don't make horror movie themed trailers like you did for Beauty and the Beast or The Jungle Book and Winnie the Pooh. Please don't dark theme it. 2. Atlantis needs to be a comedy where even though statements are related to the story, they're still funny, just like the original.
Milo, I gotta hand it to you. You really came through. But I take that back.
3. Visuals, visuals, visuals. Do not get cheap or lazy with the CGI. No bad camera angles, no rush physics-defying scenes or bad actors, and no cheaping out by putting a blank screen so you don't have to bother animating it. And by all means, make sure the thing stays the same and is only upgraded in comparison. 4. Please, no one wanted kiss scenes as it turns away kids and removes any chance of the movie being recommended by many men, or making someone gay just for modern approval. None of the characters were back then, so please don't make them different now. And that goes for any character aspect. Molière was French then, so he should be French again, not to mention that the characters had depth. Please dive deeper into this Disney. 5. Fill the plot holes. I want a believable reason as to why Milo's parents died, and I want a deeper, Visualize backstory of the other main characters that works understandably into the story, except don't visualize Molier's past. The terrible sequel revealed that Moliere was raised by naked mole rats, and I don't want you to, Disney, to emphasize that. Please don't. I also want Whitmore and Milo's grandfather's past to be further visualized. I want the full story, even if it means making multiple films. Sits? For this next film, I'd recommend Milo's desperateness to be better justified at the beginning. For instance, I'd recommend Milo's grandfather's death to be closer to the time that the expedition occurs, and to have a montage of Milo's life gradually getting worse, working at the museum, and to make the investors seem less caring about Milo's loss, and selfishly expecting him to go about his lowly, meaningless life as normal, therefore making him especially want to quit, and of course start a better life. Then the expedition would seem like his only option, and therefore he of course would take it no matter the cost. It would then make sense that he would take the entire new Atlantis life at the ending without minding. 7. Atlantis was hated due to too much focus on violent and horror-styled scenes, so a slightly changed ending would be preferred, as many will likely complain again. Now, what I personally focus on in the original was the immensely creative imagination and adventure that the original led to. Please don't change that. So, if like me, you want a remake of Atlantis, please leave a like and share this video. And if I missed anything or am just wrong, please leave a comment. If you like more videos like this one, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Over and out.